I needed a new pedalboard power supply for really for doing pedal demos and things of that nature right here, because the last 3 or 4 years I've been using the Outlaw Effects Palomino, which is just a 4 output power supply, but one of the outputs would switch down or switch up from 9 volts to 12 to 18 if I needed it to. And that was a feature on it that I did really, really like, but it was limited because, like I said, it only had 4 outputs on it. And really, I think I'm kind of ready for something bigger. Anyway, I think I found a really, really good value from MXR in the ISO brick, their model M238. So I thought I'd turn on the camera and we'd get everything out of the box and have a look-see. Quick guide, registration stuff. 3, those look like rubber feet to go on the bottom of it. I may use those. MXR sticker, that is probably going to land on the front of one of my rack drawers. DC cables, these are the ones that actually come out of the power supply and power the cables. 18 volt adapter, this is the one that plugs into the wall. And of course the brick itself, which strangely came kind of partially open, but I think it was just a faux pas at the factory. It doesn't look like it's actually technically ever been opened. So it's folded way too neatly. And a little thing there, that's in the trash. There it is. Now here's the reason why I chose this particular power supply. Like I said, I needed something bigger. I'm ready for something with more than 4 outputs for this particular application. While this certainly is not the only good pedal power supply out there on the market, like I said, value-wise, I found it to be pretty tough to beat after doing a lot of research. And here's why. Number one, all of these outputs are isolated outputs. The reason why that is important is because a lot of other power supplies will put a bank of inputs on and isolate them all together. Or sometimes they won't be isolated together at all. And what will happen is sometimes you'll get some noise and some bleed through from one output to the next. And it's not a very pleasing sound. So, whatever power supply you get, I strongly recommend that you get something that all of the outputs on it are completely isolated. Now, in addition, this one also, it's got 10 outputs total, right? It's kind of interesting, but the way that this is laid out, because this one and this one, you can run them at 9 volts if you need to. However, you can also run them anywhere from 6 volts all the way up to 15. So if there's a 12 volt pedal, that one will go in here. If there's a 15 volt pedal, that one will go in here. If there's a like an oddball 9.6 or something, Digitech used to like to do a lot of those back in the day. Obviously, that will I can use one of those 2 outputs for those. There's also 2 18 volt outputs. Right there and right there, 250 milliamps a piece. So, a lot of my MXR pedals are 18 volt pedals. My trusty MXR 10-band Kerry King 10-band EQ, and I think the double shot distortion is also 18 volts. The dime bag distortion I know is 18 volts. There's quite a few of those larger MXR pedals that are 18 volt pedals. So, while I assume that they would obviously have their own 18 volt pedals in mind for those 2 outputs, but there's also plenty of others. And 250 milliamps is quite a bit of current, so that'll power a lot of pedals. And the rest of these are 9 volt outputs that range anywhere from looks like anywhere from 300 milliamps all the way up to from 100 milliamps all the way up to 450. So there's plenty of different options of output here on the ISO 8. Again, making it very, very versatile and that had all of these different options. I mean, I could power pretty much anything from 6 volts all the way up to 18. There's an option here in here to power every single one of those. On top of being, again, all of these outputs completely isolated, for the price of everything else on the market, this is by far the best value that I could find. And that was important to me. I wanted value, and I needed ultimate versatility, because I never know what kinds of pedals I'm going to be demoing from one week to the next. Something may show up from somebody that's a weird oddball voltage, and I need to be able to run it accordingly. So, and it is so much easier for me to run, to run pedals off of one of these on my little. It's actually a synthesizer stand that I use, but I use it for a pedal stand here to demo everything with. It is so much easier for me to use that than it is, than it is wall warts or something like that. So I do have an older DC brick, old Dunlop DC brick, as well as a Pedal Power, Voodoo Labs Pedal Power 2 Plus around here somewhere. Honestly, I can't for the life of me figure out what in the hell I did with them. So, which is why I went shopping for a new one. I'm sure they'll turn up at some point when I don't need them. Anyway, so in the meantime, that's why I went shopping for this one. And like I said, found it to be a very good value. That's enough me yapping about this thing. So again, it comes with its own 18-volt adapter that plugs into the back of it right there. Obviously this goes into the wall. That's how you power this thing. And then of course we have our assortment of DC cables. And we got ourselves a bunch of cables. There's nothing too fancy worth showing. Just a bunch of DC cables, but should be the correct quantity for what I need to run this thing. Honestly, I had thought about going with another Palomino, but so I reached out to Outlaw Effects, and unfortunately that unit has been discontinued. So I just decided, again, this would be a good opportunity for me to upgrade to a larger unit, find something that was a good value to recommend to you guys. Like I said, there's a lot of great power supplies out there that people are using, again, that are completely isolated and, have a lot of the versatility here that I'm talking about. But every single one of them that I looked at, what I found with just about every one, even if it was just by a few bucks, it was either more expensive than this one, didn't have quite as many outputs, it didn't do 12 volt or it didn't do 18 volt or something like that. Or in the case of, like the Walrus Audio, I can't remember what they call it, the Phoenix is what it is, the Walrus Audio Phoenix, which is a great power supply, but it's expensive. Those are $269 or something right now. So you're getting upwards of $300 with one of those. Eventide has got, has a power supply out now, and I looked real hard at those because they have a smaller one that would have fit the bill, but I just didn't see, a whole lot of value in it dollar for dollar. Compared to the ISO brick, or compared to a lot of them actually, but in particular compared to the ISO brick. So just as a few examples, Voodoo Labs has got tons of them out nowadays, and like I said, I've used their stuff before, and I've been really happy with it. But it does get a little bit pricey in a lot of instances, and the smaller ones that are comparable in price to the ISO brick, just again don't offer the same amount of flexibility as far as different voltages to choose from as the ISO brick does. So there's my 2 cents. If you're looking for a pedal power supply, I recommend the MXR ISO brick. So there are my thoughts on the MXR ISO brick pedal power supply. If you are in the market for a new pedal power supply, I recommend you check out the ISO brick and see if it is the right fit for you. Please don't forget to do the YouTube thing, like, comment, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Adios.